Hey there, Algebra 2 students. Welcome back to Miss McGuire's classroom. Today we're going to be doing Unit 5, Lesson 5, Part 2 of Solving Rational Equations. Make sure you put your first and last name, period, and the date in the upper right-hand corner. Our objective today is, I will solve rational equations, checking for extraneous solutions and stating any restrictions on the variable. Mastery will be demonstrated by scoring at least 80% on the extra practice. So, we are doing the exact same thing that we did in lesson 4, but with maybe some more difficult, challenging problems. So if you need to remind yourself what the steps are for solving rational equations, I recommend that you have your notes out from lesson 4. We have the steps written out 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the top of those notes. Keep those close by so you can look back at them if you need them. So in part A, we're going to solve this rational equation. And of course, we have to check for extraneous solutions as needed. So step 1 is to factor everything and find the LCD. So this problem is already factored for us, thankfully. We don't need to do any more factoring. We just need to identify our least common denominator. And it needs to include the factors from all the denominators. So it needs to include x plus 3, and it needs to include 2. So 2 times x plus 3 is our LCD for this problem. We're going to take that LCD and we're going to multiply it by the entire equation. So we're going to multiply this equation by 2 times x plus 3. We're going to distribute that to the first fraction and the second fraction. So we're going to have 2 times x plus 3 times 2 over x plus 3 equals, we're going to have 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 3 over 2. All right, let's see what we'll cancel. So x plus 3 divided by x plus 3 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we're left with 2 times 2 is equal to x plus 3 times x minus 3. Now we need to multiply this thing out and solve for x. So 2 times 2 is 4. X times x minus 3 is x squared minus 3x. 3 times x minus 3 is 3x minus 9. Negative 3x plus 3x cancels, so 4 is equal to x squared minus 9. I'm going to, so let's just add 9 to both sides. Here we go, we're going to get 13 is equal to x squared. So x squared equals 13. To cancel the square, we're going to square root both sides, and we get x is equal to plus or minus root 13. The only restrictions on the variable are negative 3, and we didn't get that for our answer. So we have 2 answers, x is equal to positive root 13 and negative root 13. And both are allowed since neither of those are part of our restrictions. So I want you to go ahead and try part B on your own. You have x plus 2 over 1 minus 2x is equal to 5. Multiply both sides by your common denominator, cancel what you can, solve for x. Go ahead and give it a shot. So I multiplied both sides by my least common denominator of 1 minus 2x. I ended up with x equals 3/11 as my final answer. And my only restriction would be that 1 minus 2x can't be 0. If I solve for 0, I'm going to get negative 2x equals negative 1. So x can't be 1/2, which we did not get for our final answer. So we're good to go. All right, let's go ahead and move to example 2. So x minus 2 over x minus 3 minus x plus 2 over x plus 2 equals 5 over 8. So everything's factored. We're good on that front. Our least common denominator would need to include x minus 3, x plus 2, and 8. So we're going to multiply this whole equation by that LCD. So x minus 2 over x minus 3. We're going to multiply this whole thing by x minus 3 x plus 2, and 8. So I'm going to distribute that to all of these fractions. And I'm going to end up with 8 times x plus 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 2 over x minus 3 minus x minus 3 times x plus 2 times 8 times x plus 2 over x plus 2 equals 5 over 8 times x minus 3 times x plus 2 times 8. So now we're going to cancel what we can. So x minus 3 divided by x minus 3 cancels, x plus 2 divided by x plus 2 cancels, and then the 8 cancels. So we have 8 times x plus 2 times x minus 2 minus, we're going to have 8 times x minus 3 times x plus 2, and then 5 times x minus 3 times x plus 2. So we've got a lot of multiplying we have to do here. All right. So we've got to distribute the x to the x minus 2, the 2 to that. We're going to have to distribute this one and this one as well. And then we're going to have to multiply each of those things by 8, negative 8, and 5. So we're going to have 8 times whatever this is, negative 8 times whatever this is, and then 5 times whatever this is. So x times x is x squared, negative 2x, positive 2x, negative 4. X times x is x squared, x times 2, negative 3 times x, negative 3 times 2. X times x times 2, x times negative 3 times negative 2. All right, so we're going to have 8 times x squared minus 4 minus 8 times x squared minus x minus 6, 5 times x squared minus x minus 6. All right, now we need to distribute the 8, the negative 8, and the 5. So 8x squared minus 32 minus 8x squared minus positive 8x plus 48, right? Okay, equals 5x squared minus 5x minus 30. Simplify what we can. 8x squared minus 8x squared cancels. We're going to have 8x. 48 minus 32 is 16. I want to get everything on one side because I have a degree 2 polynomial. I'm going to subtract 16 to both sides and subtract 8x. I end up with 0 equals 5x squared minus 13x minus 46. So this problem's fun. I'm just going to draw a line and bring this up here so I can keep working down. So now we need to figure out, can this be factored? And if not, we're going to have to plug this thing into the quadratic formula. So I think this thing can be factored. Let's see. So I took 5 times 46, which is 230. 23 and 10 are factors of 230 that add or subtract to give us 13. So if I do negative 23x plus 10x, I would end up with negative 13x in the middle. So I'm going to have 5x minus 23x in parentheses, 10x minus 46 in parentheses. I can factor out an x, so that should be an x squared, my bad. I'm going to end up with 5x minus 23. I can factor out a 2. I'm going to end up with 5x minus 23. Ah, it is factorable. And I should have had equals 0 at each step. 0 is equal to x plus 2 times 5x minus 23. So then I get x equals negative 2, and I get x equals, that's going to end up being 23 over 5. Well, if I look back at my original function, equation, x would not be allowed to be 3, and it wouldn't be allowed to be negative 2. Well, I got negative 2 as one of my answers. So x equals negative 2. I'm going to separate those. is extraneous, since it's not allowed to be extraneous, -2 from, because that makes one of my denominators 0. So then x equals 23/5 is our only solution. All right, now it's your turn. Part B. X over x minus 1 minus 1 over x minus 2 is equal to 11 over x squared minus 3x plus 2. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure everything is factored. And that denominator factors. Then multiply the whole equation by your LCD, do all the multiplying, simplifying, solving, all that good stuff. See what you get for x. Go ahead and finish this problem on your own. Hopefully you got at least this far on your own. X squared minus 3x plus 2 factors to x minus 2 times x minus 1. I multiplied the whole thing by x minus 2 times x minus 1. You can see what ended up canceling. I ended up with x times x minus 2 minus 1 times x minus 1 equals 11. Then we need to distribute this x and this -1. We end up with x squared minus 2x minus x minus 1 equals 11. Simplify by combining your like terms. I have a degree 2 polynomial. I need this to be equal to 0 in order to solve it. And I get x squared minus 3x minus 12 is equal to 0. Then I want to see if this thing is factorable. If not, I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula to solve it. So x times x is x squared. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. And none of those add or subtract to get us -3. That's rude. Right? Yeah. So we're going to plug this into the quadratic formula. X is equal to the negative of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So x is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 36 all over 2. Right here. This is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 45 all over 2. 45 can be broken down to 9 times 5. The square root of 9 is 3, so I can bring out a 3, root 5 over 2. And we're just going to leave our answers like this. So x is equal to 3 plus or minus 3 root 5 over 2. So sometimes, in order to solve these, you do have to use the quadratic formula. I feel like this problem just came full circle with like everything we've learned all year. Fun times. All right, so part C. Why don't you go ahead and try this problem on your own from beginning to end. I'm going to give you a little hint though. If I were you, I would rewrite this denominator right here as -x plus 3, and then I would factor out a -1. And use that when you find your LCD. So go ahead and give this problem a shot. You've got a couple things to factor. You need to factor this. You need to factor that one using that little hint I just gave you. Find your LCD, multiply the whole thing by that, simplify, solve, all that good stuff. See how far you can get with this problem on your own. Give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and show you my work from this step forward. I found my LCD was negative times x minus 3 times x minus 5. So I multiplied the whole equation by that. I distributed it to each fraction. And now I'm going to see what cancels. X minus 3 cancels x minus 5, x minus 5, and then the negative and the x minus 3 cancel for this one. I meant to put those in different colors. Okay. So what we have left then is negative times 7x plus 3 plus negative and then x minus 3 times 3x. And then 1 times x minus 5. So we've got some multiplying we got to do here. Negative 7x minus 3. We're going to distribute the negative and the 3x. And I'm going to do that at the same time. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times negative 3 is positive 9x. All right. Then distribute that 1, so we get x minus 5 on that side. All right, so negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals x minus 5. We've got a degree 2 polynomial, so we need it to be equal to 0. We get negative 3x squared plus x plus 2 equals 0. Factor out that negative 3x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. See if we can factor this thing. 3 times 2 is 6. There are factors of 6 that add or subtract to get us 1. We'll use 2 and 3. So 3x squared minus 3, minus 3x plus 2x minus 2. We're going to put parentheses around the first two terms, a plus sign in between, parentheses around the second two terms. Go. We can factor out a 3x from the first two. We can factor out a 2 from the second two. And I have x minus 1 in both of these parentheses. So it factors to 3x plus 2 times x minus 1. So then what makes each of these factors 0? This would get us negative 2/3. This would get us 1. But we need to check our restrictions. So going back up here, it looks like x wouldn't be allowed to be 3, 5, 5, and 3. So it can't be 3 or 5. Neither of these answers are 3 or 5. So these would be our final solutions. All right, good work today. So now I need you guys to do your extra practice. When you're done, you're going to hit the ask for help button and we'll go over it together. Thank you for your hard work and I'll see you back in class.